Hello, chat. Is everyone ready to locate the aesthetics and sex the fat women? It's a very important question, very important topic. Obviously, we are covering the most pressing issues of the times here. And I'm gonna ask a question, I think. I think we're gonna have to start this off with some questioning, because I think, chat, for once, I may very well give you the choice in how exactly we're going to run this stream. Because I'm tempted to either just leap straight on into this article here, this locating aesthetics, sexing the fat woman, blah 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 sort of thing. Except I know, just because it always is, it's gonna come down to women should be allowed to be fat because society can't control everything, and men need to learn how to find morbidly obese women attractive because yada 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 social construct. So I'm tempted, I believe, to either leap into that and just wait until we get to that point in order to basically just completely BTFO the social constructionist people, or I may very well actually start the stream by building a big-ass consilience tree, drawing upon all manner of sources to just objectively show that no, being fat is not a good thing. People don't find you aesthetic for a reason, and it is a reason of evolutionary biology and the associated psychological adaptations that comes with, and you're wrong. And then go into the article, and then we can reference back to that, maybe. So I don't know. I think maybe which should we do, chat? Which one should we do? Should we do the should we get into the article and then build the map when we get to that point, or shall we build the map first and then go into the article? Which do you think would work better, chat? Which would be the thing? Chat is just pointing out every man has drilled a fat bird after 3 liters of vodka. Oh dear. Yeah, it's true. Let's be honest, it is true. Someone likes the second idea. Second idea. That middle pick, though. There's a lot of middle picks. It's just read and BTFO. Okay, we've got read and BTFO. Maybe we should article first, fat aesthetic, build the map, articles. It's kind of map first. Map, build the map, article. Map first. The second thing, the funniest way. Sock just first, build the map. Burn it first, read and build, article, mate, article, map. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of consensus here. Okay, we're going to build the map first, and then we're going to go into the article, I think, because the map shouldn't take very long to build, because, well, I've done this kind of mentally many times, so I know do both first. I can't do both first, chat. It's an impossibility. All right. Let's leap straight on into this then. I am going to build the Photoshop map then. There we go. Look, sup chat. How you guys doing over there? Yeah? Okay, so we're going to do this first, and we are going to basically just demonstrate that no, being fat is not a good thing. We're going to draw from several different sources. We're going to prove why, and then we're going to actually go in and say, okay, you're all wrong, and this is why. Cool? Cool. Okay. Can we get the text going? Okay, so let's just sort of go from theoretical evolution first. I can't type anything, god damn it. Okay, so the theoretical evolutionary perspective first. Okay, let's drop this, oh god, let's first align this in a way that makes sense, and then we'll drop this size down. Okay, so theoretical evolutionary first. So we'll say something along the lines of, why on earth? No, all of it should be that way. There we go. Theoretical evolution. Okay, so let's say, sexual selection, yields, 'cause, 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 a mate choice with what should we say, with a reproductive advantage. So we'll go with that first of all. So the theory of evolution would suggest that sexual selection will yield a mate choice which gives you some manner of reproductive advantage in something. And you know what? We're going to cite that as well. We're going to just say it literally Darwin. Like, just literally Darwin in this instance. So we're going to start there. That's our top thing. Theoretical evolution. Literally Charles Darwin tells you that if you're fucking people and having kids with them en masse, there's probably some reproductive advantage in doing so. Somewhere, somehow, that's basically it. Okay, so let's go straight into something which will... yeah, we'll leave that at the top, and then we'll have 2 columns on either side, and we'll see if we can fit that in. Okay, so let's start, obviously, shall we? Medical advantages to this. Okay, so we're gonna pull up a few little papers here. So let's just go on over to our browser again. So let's just have a little consider. Why do I have an Airbnb link there? I've never gone to Airbnb ever. Whatever. Okay, so let's just say overweight and pregnancy. Like, okay, overweight and pregnancy, NHS. Being overweight when you're pregnant increases the risk of some complications such as gestational diabetes, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, is there a section that just lists all of the... there we go. Okay, risks. Here we go. Miscarriage. Risk of miscarriage under 12 weeks is 1 in 5. If you have a BMI of over 30, the risk is then 1 in 4, 25%. You're at an increased risk of gestational diabetes, high blood pressure, preeclampsia, blood clots, postpartum hemorrhaging, your baby becoming stuck, if you are just that goddamn fat. Like, if you literally just cannot put the cake down, well, yes. Okay, basically, being fat is really, really bad for you from the perspective of actually having babies. So we'll add that onto our little consiliency map. Let's go back over there. So, medical. So, being overweight has an objective disadvantage in birth and bearing. Okay, so there we go. So being a healthy weight, let's sort of put something else there. Being healthy weight, e.g. hourglass, makes childbearing easier and safer. Okay, we'll shrink that down a little bit so it's not a million times over that. There we go. Okay, so we've got the medical benefit over there. So being overweight has an objective disadvantage in child. So that's our medical thing. Okay, medical, great. So the theory of evolution states that if you're fucking someone, there's probably going to be some sort of reproductive advantage to it. Medical says if you're fat, you're going to have problems having babies, and basically being a healthy weight is the best way to have babies. So these two things tie together. So this body shape has evolved, or this factor has evolved, because basically fucking people of a healthy weight is the way to go about this. So can we tie that to anything else? Okay, so let's say how is this portrayed in society? Because this is the thing that I know feminists like to bitch and moan about, and it's society and all of that stuff. Okay, so let's say, how has this been portrayed throughout society? So we're gonna break that down, because societies have existed for a long time. So let's go with cross-temporal society. Okay, we're gonna do that, and cross-temporal is literally just, okay, we're gonna go with that, and what we mean when we say cross-temporal society is, well, it's across time. It kind of makes sense, yeah? Cross-temporal, cross-time. Okay, so cross-societal things. How have women's bodies been portrayed throughout history. Okay, let's head on back over to the browser then, shall we? And let's look up, say... I'm going to drag and drop actually an image in first of all, because I think this one's going to be very helpful, and it's this image, and it's women in art. So this is actually just an image which I happen to just have knocking around on my computer, actually for this exact purpose. So we've got here, basically going across multiple centuries here, portrayals of an idealized female form, and these are female goddesses. So... okay, they are all exhibiting a healthy body weight. They're all exhibiting a healthy body size. Now, you can say, oh, but Teal, these people are the gods and the goddesses, so fuck you. This couldn't possibly mean anything. This is idealized. This was the patriarchy's propaganda at the time, or some shit like that. Well, perhaps, but we'll go with this. Okay, so this is our European source for cross-temporal things. So actually, you know what? I think I'll just dump that image literally straight into here. Will it go straight in? No, I have to confirm the text first. Okay. Literally cross-temporal society. Okay, so cross-temporal society, European historical figures of women are consistent with healthy body size. Don't believe me? Let's go a little bit further, shall we? So we've got that in our... Oop, I'm getting confused with my windows here. So that's now there in our Photoshop corner there, as you can see. European historical da-da-da-da-da is consistent with healthy body size. Let's back that up a little bit further, shall we? Let's head on over back to here and say Dark Ages women art. Let's get even more in here. Okay, so these are women in Dark Ages. Oh look, they're all slim. They're all of a healthy weight. None of them are morbidly obese. They're all portrayed as quite slim, quite lithe. Okay, again, healthy sorts of weight here. Not fat, not at all. Feminists want me to include the Venus Willendorf. I'm gonna get there, chat. Don't you worry about that. I'm gonna get into that one. Oh yes. Oh yes, I am. So, we've got that. So that's our cross-temporal society, Europe. Okay, that's nice, that's helpful. But can we go a little bit further? Well, yes, we can. Let's add in to the mix here, shall we? Cross-temporal / cross-cultural. Ah, now things are getting interesting. How are women portrayed across cultures, across time? Ah, now things get very interesting. So, let's head on back over to our browser here, where we had our slim life medieval women and da-da-da-da-da. Let's have another little look here. We don't need that, or that, because those are unnecessary. Okay, so let's say ancient Egyptian women in art. Let's look at how women were portrayed in ancient Egypt. Okay, women were portrayed in ancient Egypt, slim, lithe, not morbidly obese, nothing like that. Okay, so this is in several hundreds BC. Okay, nice and easy here. Let's, you know, we'll dump that in, shall we? We'll dump that into our little consiliency map over here. Cross-time, cross-temporal things. Put that over there. Ancient Egypt. Slim, not fat. Nice and easy. We'll go a little bit further. Let's pick somewhere completely different. Let's say let's say traditional Japanese art women. If I could spell women in Japanese, that would probably help. Okay, so old Japanese paintings. That's modern Tokyo Times. Let's see if we can get some old stuff going on here. 10 most famous Japanese masterpieces. So these are probably going to be quite old. Yes. Well, that's a... Aha. Yep. That's a thing. Okay, so... So again, what we're seeing is... Slim. Why is my thing not going back? There we go. So once again, we're looking... So Japanese art women, again, they're slim, they're not overweight, they're not fat, they're nothing. Chat is very happy about that. Yes, the things that we find when doing research on streams, it's, yes, rather quite indeed, yes. So we'll pop one of those into our Photoshop image as well, over here. So once again, we've got Japan. Okay, so traditional Japanese. Slim, not fat. Again, it's, yep. Are we starting to get the idea? Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to a different part of the world entirely. To this, let's look at Mesoamerican art women. Like, I don't know what we're going to find here. Okay, so Mesoamerican women sculptures. Okay, what have we got? Well, there's a woman in the background there. She seems fairly slim. This is a guy. Seems fairly slim. We've got a... Yes, okay, once again, are we seeing the consistency here? We're looking at slim, not fat. Sometimes with the hourglass figure, it's... Someone stopped watching porn just to watch this stream and nothing changed. I know that feeling, chat. I know that feeling. Okay, so Mesoamerica. Ancient Mesoamerica. Proper, really old school shit. Pop that over there. Mesoamerica. Slim, not fat. These are all portrayals of women here, okay? Are we starting to get the idea? So, cross-temporal, cross-cult. So we've done a cross-temporal society one, looking at a single society. We've done cross-temporal and cross-cultural. So we've looked at Egypt, Japan, Mesoamerica, or all of these things are the same. Can we find some artwork from the Kangs? Can we do that? Can we get African art of women? Now this is where things will... Oh god, we've all got modern stuff now, haven't we? Old African art of women. Oh yeah, I forgot Africa doesn't really have art, does it, in its history? Yes, let's maybe not deal with that one then, shall we? We should check out colonial America. Actually, actually no, Native Americans didn't really do a whole lot of art, did they, as well, either? India, yes, let's do India. Indian art portrayal of women. Okay, let's do Indian sculptures of women, because I know they've got loads of sculptures over there as well, and they're fabulous. Look at them. Like, things like this. I mean, okay, yep. Again, these are the ye olde Indian sculptures from... Well, many of these are attached to temples out in India. Some of them are a little bit lewd, but look, that one is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. That's a fantastic, fantastic sculpture. But yes, once again, what are we finding here? Yes. So this is how women were portrayed in, female bodies were portrayed in India from ye olde times ago. So let's add that as well, shall we? Let's add India, ye olde ancient India, to the mix of things, shall we? So, India, slim, hourglass, not fat, sometimes thick, a little bit. Okay? We're getting the idea with this cross-temporal, cross-cultural stuff. According to chat, everyone was Kangs. For the Kangs, look up Yoruba art. Indigenous Australia. We can try Indigenous Australian? Sure, let's see if... Indigenous Australian art. The problem is it's this sort of stuff, isn't it? It's dots. Oh, there we go! Okay, that could actually be really good. That's a Wikipedia link, but okay. Bradwash rock paintings found in northwest Kimberley region of Western Australia. These are people. Look, none of them are fat. What an amazing surprise there. Huh. Whoever would have thunk it. So, yeah. Women not portrayed as fat there. Now, I can't really tell if any of those are supposed to be women or not, but... again, it kind of leads us to the fact that these people are not that fat. Yeah, I know, people are saying, yeah, Egypt is Africa. Yes, Egypt is Africa, but, let's be honest, when we say African, we mean, black. We're not talking Egyptian thing. But yes, this was the image that we were looking at over here. So, Aboriginal artwork over here, yeah, no fatties over there, as we can see. Yep. Yeah, I've switched the screens, chat. You're 30 seconds behind. Get with the times, yo. So literally none of these people are fat, as you can see. So I think we've made the point about cross-cultural, cross-temporal things. Can we maybe go a little bit further? Can we go into the modern day? Well, yes, we can. In fact, we're going to do that right now. I'm going to grab... a few studies. We're going to go back up to our consiliency map over here just for a second. And then we're going to go and grab... where did I put those links? Okay, here we go. Let's put these over here, because these two studies work very nicely together over here. So, this one, first of all, advertise waist-to-hip ratios of online female escorts and evolutionary perspective. So we're going to go into modern society here. So what do we want to call this? Do we want to call this... yeah, we'll go back over to our consiliency map here, and we'll say that this is cross-temporal modern. Okay. Now, this particular study over here that we're looking at, this one was actually done across 48 countries, if I recall correctly. It was something in the 40s. And basically what this found, well, as it very adeptly says, thank you to Dr. Gad Saab for this one, fantastic stuff, the web's global reach provides evolutionary behavioral scientists unique opportunities to investigate human universals steeped in a common and evolved human nature. In the current article, it is argued that many forms of online sexual communication are indicative of our evolved mating minds, including the manner by which female escorts are advertised online. It is demonstrated that online advertisers provide a restricted set of morphological cues whilst advertising female escorts, these being congruent with men's evolved aesthetic preferences. Specifically, it is shown that irrespective of cultural setting, online escorts advertise waist-to-hip ratios that are in line with the near-universal male preference that women possess of waist-to-hip ratio of 0.7. Okay, so that's great. That's great. Let's head on back over to our consiliency tree over here, just for fun. So, cross-temporal modern. Let's go into that. Escorts. Okay, let's not do that. Let's say, universal escort advertisement of 0.7 waist to hip ratio. So that's escort things, and this was found across, I don't know, what was it, around 40 countries. I can't remember the exact number, it was something in the 40s. Okay, that's nice. Let's go on over to the other study, shall we? Let's head on over here. Okay, online female escort advertisements. This one was kind of a backup. If I recall correctly, this was done by one of the PhD students of GADSARDS for this one. So female escorts represent an occupational group that charges a fee for sex, which can be regarded as an extreme form of short-term mating, which is true. The present study examines if the fee charged by escorts are related to traits typically associated with female short-term mate value, in other words, how attractive they are. And what a surprise, the advertisement content was coded, relationships between advertised physical characteristics and hourly rate charged by female escorts were examined. The analysis showed that higher fees were associated with female escorts who advertised a waist-to-hip ratio near 0.7, lower weight and body mass index, younger age, and photogenic display of breasts and buttocks nudity. Okay, so what a surprise. When women advertise something which is to do with fertility, namely the fact that they are not morbidly obese, the fact that they actually possess tits and arse, what a surprise they're able to charge men more for those things. So let's add that onto our little consiliency map, shall we? And this goes quite nicely in with this point as well. How are we going to say this? Advertised. How are we going to do this? Advertised hourglass figures command higher pay fees for escorts. So cross-temporal, looking at the modern age, women who are sexually advantageous, which is, in other words, they have these slim body types with the TNA, the people who basically are exhibiting reproductive fitness are more likely to be able to command more for sex. Basically, their sexual marketplace value is even higher than people who are not. Absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this. It's crazy. It just, how could we possibly improve this map any further? Okay, let's rule out socialization, because that's a big thing. Actually, before we rule out socialization, let's go even further with cross-temporal modern. Let's go even further with that. I'm going to leave the little map up while I do this, because I don't necessarily want to show what's going to happen, because I'm not entirely sure. So let's Google up some Playboy models, shall we? Because this is the modern art. Okay, no, this is fine. This is fine. This is, thank God for safe search. I mean, look at this. Okay, so this is basically the art of the modern era. This is, rather than painting attractive women, this is what attractive women are portrayed as in the media. Okay, and what a surprise, they are all showing signs of fertility. They are all showing the narrow waist to hip ratio. They're showing about that 0.7. They are showing the fact that they have the wider childbearing hips. They are showing that they have the ample feed bags for their offspring and things like that. So yes, we can add that to our consilience map as well. Let's head back on over here, shall we? So temporal modern. Let's add this in as well. Modern photographs of attractive women, in this instance, Playboy, all exhibit signals of reproductive fitness. So again, all of this cross-temporal modern stuff here all ties in to the medical side. Like, you can literally start seeing from here that all of these portrayals of women are in line with basically what is reproductively advantageous for a guy to stick his dick in. I mean, what a surprise here. I mean, am I right or am I right here? Okay, let's go even further, shall we? Let's eliminate the possibility that men have just been blinded by these women from Playboy. Let's ignore, let's remove all of the possibility of social influence from this. And this is a fun one. I'm gonna grab this one. Blind men prefer low waist to hip ratio. This is something which has been done repeatedly. These are studies done using congenitally blind men, as in these are men who have been blind from birth. And what they do in these tests, and these have been repeated, is that they take mannequins, like female-bodied mannequins, and they alter the dimensions of them. So some of them they make fatter, some of them they make slimmer. And the congenitally blind men, these are men who have been blind since birth. They've never seen all of this evil Western propaganda, this evil patriarchal propaganda that is supposedly brainwashing men into thinking that curvy women are attractive and fat women are not. Yes, braille nipples. Yes, chat. This is literally braille pornography. Getting rejected by a blind person because you're too fat. Well, quite right, chat. Let's go and add that, because again, these have been repeatable experiments. So let's pop these into our little consiliency map over here, shall we? So what shall we call this? Removal of socializing influence. Congenitally blind men exhibit preference for women that display the hourglass / 0.7 waist to hip ratio. So these are men who haven't been blindsided by cultural forces or anything like that. That is literally just that. Okay, so with all of this evidence here, and let's be honest, there is a shit ton of it here across numerous centuries, across numerous societies and cultures, spanning the entirety of medical research as we know it. From all of this data, do I have the ability to literally draw arrows in this program? I swear there was a way to. Okay, maybe not. No, I don't want to draw a rectangle. Okay, so from all of this, we get our conclusion without a semicolon. How do we want to phrase our conclusion, chat? Conclusion. Men have evolved a preference for hourglass figures, not fatties, in line with reproductive fitness expectations. What a surprise. Now, obviously, what feminists will want to bring up at this point is they will want to go over to here, and they will want to say, well, what about the Hottentot Venus, and what about things like this? What about all of these portrayals over here? What about all of this shit? To which I basically want to say, well, first of all, these are caricatures. Like, this sort of stuff. First of all, this woman was basically a medical anomaly. I think she was actually basically had some sort of disease or condition that caused this bizarre fat distribution that she had in her body like this. I believe there's actually a specific gene that encodes for fat distribution like this as well. But then they want to bring up statues like these. Things like this. These very curvaceous statues and whatnot. To which I have to point out, basically, these statues have pretty much universally been seen as some sort of fertility charm, something like that. Usually, perhaps a deity or something like that, or something for women looking to become pregnant, because this is in line with basically what you would want an idealized pregnant woman to be, to have lots of fat reserves to help carry the baby and things like that. Not to the point of morbid obesity, but to have that little bit extra fat, to have nice, large, engorged breasts so that she's got lots of milk to feed it, and obviously then the belly carrying the actual child. So these things are pretty much deemed to be fertility symbols or things like that. Not some sort of, oh, look, this is 100% proof that that men used to prefer fatties and whatnot. It's, nope, sorry, but not gonna happen. Okay, so this is our... But remember, chat, this consilience map over here, all of this stuff that we've done for the past... how long have we been going on here for? What is it, probably about half an hour? Yeah, about half an hour, something like that. According to the butthurt, triggered, mad feminist social constructionists and things like this, what we have just spent the last half hour doing, all of this is pseudoscience. All of this can be disproven by anthropology, by just studying people and cultures and all of this sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, no, we've drawn copiously on the study of anthropology over here. What have we got here? I would say that these fat statues tell us the same information about the real human figure as stick figures do. Yeah, pretty much. What you got to keep in mind is that a lot of portrayals, there have been artistic portrayals of people which are not the idealized form throughout history. So yeah, if you were to go and Google up something like, you know, stick figure, I mean, is this representative of the idealized human form? Well, the answer is no. Is this representative of how we want human beings to look? No, it isn't. This is why you have to draw on sort of quite a wide thing. So you'd look at those Hottentot statues and stick figures and things like this, and you'd see them for what they are. They're anomalies, which is normally means that they're going to serve some other type of function or something like that. You know, there is a reason why fat people were not portrayed sort of as the norm, nor as the idealized throughout history, and it is literally all to do with reproductive fitness. The entire field of what is considered aesthetic in human beings is based on reproductive fitness. I mean, we could build the exact same map for men if we wanted to. All we would do is we would look at these cross-temporal societies, we would look at Greco-Roman statues of men, and they all show, I believe it's a 1.2 shoulder-to-waist ratio. We could look at cross-temporal things. Ancient Egyptian men are portrayed much the same. I would imagine that male statues, in fact, we've seen some of the Mesoamerican statues and the Indian statues, again, they were portrayed pretty much the same. That sort of slightly broader shoulder, narrower hips and waist for the men. I mean, what a surprise. You'd look at cross-temporal modern. I guarantee you if we went and looked at male escort pages, they would probably have, you know, broad shoulders, large muscular chests, and six-packs. Again, what a surprise. And we could maybe remove socializing influence, maybe if we put congenitally blind women in with models. I can pretty much guarantee you that the thing with wider shoulders and a narrower waist and hip would probably attract them as well. And what a surprise, the medical evidence of men who have lower body fat and the wider shoulders would no doubt show that they are healthier. Because, unsurprisingly, I lost my train of thought. Because, unsurprisingly, all of those things basically demonstrate sexual fitness in the human male. I mean, what a fucking surprise. To which we would then have our conclusion: women have evolved a preference for wider shoulders and smaller hips in men, not for fat men, in line with reproductive fitness expectations. Except, obviously, of course, what we'd then be able to do is to add all of the research that we've got into hypergamic traits that women exhibit, which is namely men with lots of money, men with lots of wealth, and no doubt you would see through the cross-temporal societies that the only men who had statues made of them and paintings made of them were rich, which should then tell you something else. It wasn't the common man, it was the rich man. So, what a surprise. So, we have now had basically 40 minutes of, what? I don't want to say it's pure autism, because it isn't. It's 40 minutes of fatties, BTFO, you are not attractive, you do not possess the aesthetics, and, well, you're fucked, basically. Twitch streamers for the win. Yeah, actually something very interesting to bring up is Twitch streamers. Who are the most successful female Twitch streamers? Oh, what a surprise. It's young, attractive women who have the boobies out on display. What a surprise. Ah, right. There we go, chat. We've done all of the things. So now we can finally get into locating the aesthetics and sexing the fat woman. We have basically demonstrated through the use of what feminists term pseudoscience woo, even though I've got far more evidence on my side than they have, because they just assert that literally everything is a social construct with basically no evidence whatsoever, whereas I have drawn upon evidence from multiple millennia, from cross-geographic boundaries, cross-racial boundaries, cross-political model boundaries, cross-economic model boundaries, across time from single cultures, across time from multiple cultures, drawing from medical evidence and research, drawing from evolutionary psychological research, drawing from sociobiological research. But apparently all of that shit, when you put all of that together, that's pseudoscience, because everything is a social construct, and fuck you. I'm fat, and you need to find me attractive, because meh! Check your privilege and shit, yo. So chat, let's actually get into this, and now what we can do is we can reference back to our consiliency tree. Teodia forgot ancient cave paintings. Let's be honest. Okay, fine, we'll do ancient cave paintings. This is what you want, chat? Okay. Cave paintings of women. Oh, look. Oh, look. Cave paintings of women. They show them with tits and arse and not being fat. What amazing. Look at this. They're shown as slim with arses and breasts. Oh, amazing. Look at this. Whoever would have thunk it? Right? You get the idea. They're still not fat, chat. They're still not fat. Right? It's literally just, the point is you want people to be of a healthy weight. That's the most attractive thing, because that is the thing that confers reproductive fitness. It is the reproductive advantage. Oh, chat. They look stoned, but, you should feel bad, chat. Just feel bad. It's true, chat, I didn't check DeviantArt. Do you know why I didn't check DeviantArt? Because they're a bunch of fucking degenerates. Literally, this is the thing. It's like, they'll always basically point to places like that. I'll be like, oh, but the fat positive people draw fat people. Oh yeah, what a fucking surprise. The people drawing fat people and trying to push it are the fat people who want to be accepted because they're fat and no one wants to bang them. What a surprise. Okay. You see, chat gets it. Can't believe it. Even cavemen knew that ass is superior. It's true. It is true. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why, chat? Do you want to know the secret, the shameful secret about why ass is superior to tits? Okay, let me tell you. Let me tell you. This is a secret, chat. Just lean in for this. You can't tell anyone else on the internet, okay? The reason is we evolved from apes. Apes tend to walk around on all fours. That means that the sign of fitness for reproduction would have been ass first, tits last. Tits evolved because we were able to stand upright, and so the development of larger breast tissue became more apparent, and so that then started being selected for as well as ass. So tits are literally a fake arse on the front of a woman's body. That's why. Ta-da! There you go, chat. I blew your mind. There is a reason why big tits look like the backside. Ah, did I just blow your mind, chat? Tits are literally the arse of the chest, but they are there because of that. So literally, I would not actually be surprised if that was part of the reason. So yeah, thighs and arse are best because they came first evolutionarily speaking. I guess you could then say that maybe tits are the acquired man's taste. They are the higher evolved thing. There we go, chat. You now you know the truth, chat. You know why boobies exist and why they are the way they are. It's not really that that's the way they are. It's literally, if you have breasts, they can only really be one shape, and that's kind of fat-shaped, and fat deposits kind of go round naturally anyway, so it's pretty much an inevitability that they would end up that shape if they became larger and fatter. But, yeah. There you go. Holy moly, that enlightenment. Yep, chat, tits are the thinking man's arse. There you go. So you now know. What? Yo, dude, turn on live chat. You've censored top chat option. What? Top chat, some messages such as spam may not be visible. Live chat, all messages are visible. I fail to see the problem with that. Frankly, I don't really care if spam gets put up, but there you go, you can have live chat. Okay, there you go. Just whatever. There you go. You now have live chat. You can now spam. You feel better now, chat. You can spam shit. I'm kind of annoyed that that's turned on by default. I didn't even notice that. But holy shit, that's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, let's get on to locating the aesthetics and sexing the fat women, shall we? This is going to be fun. But we've got our consilience map, so we can always go back and look. Hang on, I want to check something first. This is Samantha Murray. Sorry, I have to. My own curiosity. Samantha Murray, feminist. Can we... Is this her? I'm curious. Is that her? I don't know, let's see. I don't know if that's her. Samantha Murray, feminism, would we get something there? I don't know, I'm curious just to know if the woman that we're getting is literally morbidly obese. I would imagine that it's so. I can't confirm that that's her, it probably isn't, but I wonder. I'm pretty sure, didn't I look this up already in the other browser? I think I did, actually. I'm pretty sure I already looked that up somewhere else and found different results. Or am I going insane? I'm possibly just going insane. Oh no, I'm not going insane. This is another thing from her there. I mean, that's obviously just the face. Wow, that's really not very visible at all. But, yes. Yes, okay. I think we may have determined that the author of this paper is perhaps a little on the heavier side, and to which I've got to say is just, I mean, what a fucking surprise, chat. If that is the case, I'm not surprised at all. But, whatever. That's not her. I don't know, frankly, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that is it. I wonder. I'm just curious. Actually, we can probably Google Scholar. She should be on there. Let's see. I love how one of the options, it's literally Fat Samantha Murray Fat, is like the option that comes up. S. Murray, is this you? Yeah, Sexing the Fat Woman, this is her. Where is she? Oh, she's at the University of Hertfordshire. Okay, I'm sorry, chat, I am curious. Yep. Yes, that would be her. Oh, also, by the way, chat, you should notice this is not doxing because I'm only using publicly available information, which is incredibly easy to find, and I'm not encouraging you to go and message anyone or anything like that. But, yes, chat, are we surprised? Yes, I think she might be a little on the heavy side. Anyway, moving... I mean, just what a surprise. I like doing that with authors of any sort of fat positivity stuff like that, because it's literally just inevitable that they're going to be fat. It's just, yeah, what a surprise. Okay, let's get into the actual thing, shall we? So in the West, the fat woman is most often relegated to the asexual category of the big girl. The soft, dimpled curves of her thighs, the fleshy rolls of her stomach, the alarming swell of her breasts, all seem a parody of female sexuality. A distortion of contemporary paradigms of feminine beauty and desirability. Well, as we've seen, it's not a contemporary paradigm of female beauty. I reference you back to our glorious consilience map, which covered literally thousands of years and dozens of cultures across the world. This is not a contemporary paradigm of feminine beauty. This is literally just feminine beauty, full stop. This is the standard that we want. So, yes, you are wrong when you say that this is contemporary. The fat woman's corporeal existence is constituted largely by the expectation of the constant disavowal of her flesh, an enforcing disconnection from her body and a refusal of herself as a sexual being. The fat female body in Western societies stands as a symbol of a body that is uncared for, uncultivated, and indeed as a body that has failed as the subject of aesthetics. Well, that's because you have, like, literally. Someone in chat likes to look up the author of articles that shit on white people and see if they're Jewish. Whoa, 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 whoa. Have you ever had your internet connection just mysteriously disconnect or something like that? Just when you're doing that. Interesting thing from the chat, the alarming swell. I think the lack of swell on large women is what you'd call alarming, yes. Some of them really do end up as the whole fried egg held on a wall with a nail sort of thing. Oh no, look at this, downloaded by Gazi University, like 3 years ago. Oh no, look, doxed, ah. I've never actually been to Gazi University, this wasn't me, before you get any ideas, chat. In The Use of Pleasure, Foucault suggests, we have to create ourselves as a work of art, and advocates living a beautiful life by engaging with practices that seek to produce a cultivated self. In this paper, I wish to examine Foucault's notion of an aesthetics of existence, and the implicit bodily transformation that is effected through his practices of the self. Yes, oh yes, chat, here we go. Of course she quotes Foucault. Absolutely. They like to lean back on some of these ye olde philosophers, almost like they're trying to make a point, but then they often seem to totally misinterpret everything. It's just awful. Teal dear, look at Yif to see if there are many fatties. No. No. I know what that word means. No, you fucking degenerates, we're not doing that. In light of this, I seek to interrogate the problem of aesthetics in Foucauldian ethics and the prescriptive modes for becoming that aesthetic ideals inevitably produce. Does making our lives a work of art enable a means of overturning dominant discourses around the fat body that relate to the perceived neglect of bodily maintenance and failure of the will by thinking through new ways of living the fat body, or does an aesthetic of existence reinforce these discourses by insisting upon sets of practices that disallow the fat self from ever coming into being as it is? Can we choose the level of investment we have in aesthetic ideals, and do Foucault's aesthetics for a beautiful life irrevocably discipline the fat body, deprive it of its sexuality, and seek to overcome its very flesh in order to transform it into a socially sanctioned work of art? Look, if you're overweight, you're simply not as attractive as someone who is of a healthy weight. Literally, that is it. It's unfortunately, welcome to evolution. It's just how it works. Does it make you any less of a person if you're fat? Well, yes, because fat people aren't people. But let's see how incredibly triggered this author gets. That was a joke, by the way, chat. Don't get triggered, fatties out there. It's okay, the fat people can get triggered by me making jokes like that. It's all just whale song to me anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just over a year ago, I attended a seminar. Oh, here we go. We're in the Live Journal part of the academic paper. This is what passes for feminist academics these days. Literally, most of them, they are just Live Journal. It's just, I'm sick of it. Has no one ever taught these people that your personal experience is not like a valid scientific data point or something like that? But, God damn it. Just over a year ago, I attended a seminar in a series of papers on sexuality. In this particular session, the paper explored issues relating to masculinity. Of course it did. Here we go. A colleague had conducted interviews with young male cadets training at the Australian Defence Force Academy, where a number of young men talked openly about their sexual experiences and practices. One of the young cadets relayed the story of an apparently common sexual activity known as the rodeo. Oh boy, let's go, shall we? This practice involved a group of about 10 cadets who would gather in a hotel room. The boys would make an agreement that one of them would go out to a local pub or club and find the most obese woman he could, pretend he was sexually interested in her, make her feel desirable, and then lure her back to the hotel room. The other 9 boys would wait in the hotel room for the couple, hiding behind couches, in the bathroom, in wardrobes. Once the young male cadet and the fat girl arrived, the boy would seduce the girl and begin to undress her, encouraging her to believe that he was about to have sex with her. He would then ask her to kneel on the bed, on all fours, and he would produce a scarf to blindfold her. The fat girl would be lulled into thinking this was just a kinky start to sex with the young cadet. Instead, the young boy would call out a signal to the other boys, and they would run out from their hiding places. One by one, they would jump on the fat girl's back, kicking at the soft flesh of her hips and belly, riding her like she was some sort of animal. They would ignore her tears and screams, and once they had all had their turn, the fat girl was completely humiliated, they would kick her out of the room. Ah, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yes, it is true, chat. This is literally whaling. This is literally whaling in the modern world. Okay, yes, people do things like this. Have you never heard of a pull a pig night? Things like that, where guys will literally go out, find the most unattractive girls that they can, and then bring them all to a party, and then the entire speech from all of the boys will basically just be about who's got the ugliest girl. Okay, these things happen. Do you think girls don't do this as well? Like, do you think women don't engage in similar practices? You know, like the really popular girls who just go and talk to the really unpopular guys just to be like, oh, I think you're cool. And then they like walk away or run away tittering with all of their friends like, oh my god, I can't believe you talked to the social reject. Nah. Like, people do this, okay? People are cruel, especially when they're kids and teenagers, okay? welcome to life. Did I ever do something like that? Maybe. I will neither confirm nor deny any of my exploiting and laughing at fat people. But also, we're talking about cadets here and sexual exploitation. Okay, have you ever tried being a squatty in a known squatty bar? Or something like that, okay? You ever tried being someone in any sort of military, going to any bar that is known to be frequented by military people? There are women in there who are incredibly sexually aggressive towards those men because they know they can get away with it. Okay, there are plenty of times where people who are in the forces will be basically sexually assaulted by normally really fucking fat, ugly women who feel entitled to their bodies. Like, they will actually just basically pin them up against walls because it will be like, oh, you can't, you know, fight back against me because no one will believe you, and start grabbing your crotch and feeling your muscles and all that sort of shit. Yeah, it happens. Women can be just as predatory and just as bad when it comes to this sort of shit. It's... People are fucking terrible. Okay, some people are just bad, but that's life. It's very fortunate that in this circumstance, you know, fat people aren't actually people, so it's okay. This isn't quite as bad. Let's continue onwards, shall we? It is true, chat. There are loads of fatties into chads. They will actually, yeah, they can be very sexually aggressive towards you if you are in any sort of good shape. Yeah, it's not good. It's actually quite sad. The sadder thing is how incredibly aggressive they can get when you're like, look, just fuck off, you fat cunt. Yeah, they can get very... Yeah, they can get very... The levels of whale song are very, very high. It's true, chat. They also know that they can get that person into trouble if they insult her or do something to... It's true, because they do know that they can just go to the base and be all like, oh, one of your people assaulted me. And then the problem is everything has to be investigated and you have to be called in for interviews, and it's all taken very seriously because, you know, inclusivity, and you can't make a bad impression on the regiment and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's awful. Anyway, enough nostalging. Let's go ever onwards. I sat in the audience listening to this story in horror. I suddenly became acutely aware of my own fat bulges and folds. I imagined every eye in the room on me, shaking their heads in pity, revulsion, and even morbid curiosity. Yep, here we go. It is Malive journal time. It's that time in the feminist paper where the author's personal insecurities have come to the surface, and now they are writing a paper about it. Yeah, now we've literally got everyone in chat now. It's just like, Teal, fuck fatty, and she squeals on him to his base. How the fuck can a fat obese woman overpower a soldier? They don't physically do it. They do it because of legal threats and force. It is a thing. It does happen. And we got good. Teal got called in for something like that. I will neither confirm nor deny. You can draw your own conclusions, but I will not state in positive or negative that I have ever partaken in, condoned, or had to have a go at people for doing these things or anything like that. Just nope, we're not going to do it. I shall neither confirm nor deny, nor tell any further stories about this. So our author pulled their shirt surreptitiously away from the bulges of their belly and their hips, trying to separate the appearance from reality. I shifted in my chair. I felt my cheeks burn hot and my stomach churn. I was angry, so humiliated for the fat girl who suffered at the hands of these young boys. So I wrote an academic paper, which was peer-reviewed and published and cited by people. It was all about how outraged I was, because I am the victim. She was just a girl like I was and had been, and she had been made into a ravenous libidinous, ridiculous creature. Probably because she is. Anyway. And yet, I was ashamed, because yes, you were the victim. You were the victim in every single circumstance. I was aware of the disgust my body inspired, its complete unacceptability and invisibility in the sexual domain. Apart from as a figure of ridicule, I felt my hot tears sting my eyes, and I knew I had to get out. I squeezed my wide hips between the rows of chairs and fled the room. So this, she shuffled out, she ambled out as fast as her cankles could carry her in this situation. It's very descriptive and emotional writing, with emotional labouring this paper is. It's true, chat. This is very descriptive and emotional. Because feminists can't write from an academic perspective. You know, they can't look at sources or information or anything like that. It's no, they go with this. It is true, chat. Fatties do prey on drunk people. Very true. Victimhood intensifies, absolutely, chat. So, of course, our author was the real victim here, because of course she was. And now she's going to tell you all about how incredibly offended she was. It shows you can be fat and a narcissist. And I'm pretty sure most fat people are narcissists. They're very self-indulgent like that. That's how they end up getting fat. I mean, what a surprise. It was not that I'm sorry, I don't normally do the read out super chat things, but can I just point out, someone has just paid $2 to say the words piss inside me in chat. People just... Okay, it's your money, waste it how you want. Just if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to tell you no. Anyway. Where were we? Oh yes, it was not that I did not realise that society does not think fatness is sexy. Well, society doesn't think that fatness is sexy. There is a very specific subset of fetishists, if you'd like to go and, you know, have a meet-up with them. I mean, there's some really weird guys out there who will try to encourage you to become even fatter. I mean, that's a thing, you know, just go with that. You never know. It was not that I had never had the experience of being relegated to the category of the asexual big girl, or had been laughed at, or positioned as sexually undesirable. It was that this story was so illustrative of these attitudes, and so callous and violent in the way they were played out. I could reason things out along lines that fatness was not abhorrent to everyone, that this kind of cruelty was the exception rather than the rule. Yes, extreme things like the fat rodeo and the pull a pig nights and things like that, those are the exceptions. They're not the rule. Most people, they will keep it on the down low that they're not interested in you being fat, but yeah, the crazy sort of exceptional overt stuff, it is an exception. It's not the rule, but just because it's the exception, that doesn't mean that you being fat is suddenly attractive now. That this story highlighted the privileged position of heteronormative understandings of sexual desirability, where the woman is expected to conform to certain notions of feminine beauty in order to be desired by a man. False. First of all, it's not really an expectation, it's welcome to evolution, as we've basically spent the first half hour of this stream looking at. Privileged position of heteronormative understandings. No, lesbians still like women who are on the healthy side. Gay men still generally prefer men who are on the healthy side, like not morbidly obese. Unless they're into the whole bear thing, but that's a slightly different dynamic. And even then, men who are in the bear mode are expected to not basically just be totally morbidly obese. They're at least expected to, you know, work out a little bit. That's kind of how it works. What was it? Someone in chat was saying, I'm so mad that they called this academic paper. Like, did they even go through peer review? Yeah, this went through peer review. Yeah, it was. It's just, it's awful. I hate my life. This is welcome to peer-reviewed feminism in academia, chat. The number of times it's just... Anyway, Yeah, so it's not heteronormative. Gay people still like people who are generally on the healthier side, unless they are the fat, the political lesbian women, at which point they will probably go with fat women who are fat, because at that point it's because for them sex isn't about attraction, it's about politics. For them, they've actually convinced themselves that, you know, fat, hideous women are what they are attracted to. Like, they've not convinced themselves that that's what they're attracted to, because they tend to not actually be attracted to them. There is a reason that lesbian bed death is a thing. There is a reason for that. It's because when you get these fat women who are basically just like, oh, I'm with a woman who's fat as a political act, and then what a surprise, they don't want to fuck them. I mean, colour me surprised, right? But in the midst of this reason, I experienced myself as split. I saw myself as the fat girl at the centre of the rodeo and realised that as a fat woman, I am expected to deny my own sexual desires and identity because my body stands as an embolism, to use Sedgwich's term, between my sexuality and my society. No, you're not expected to deny your sexual desires. Not at all. You know, you can be fat, you're still allowed to have sexual desires. The point is that you shouldn't necessarily expect, and this is the key point here, you shouldn't expect or demand that your sexual desires be fulfilled. Because not everyone is attracted to you. It's, you know, welcome to real life. And this is what this fat positivity thing is all about. It's basically, I'm fat, and hot, young, attractive, slim men need to find me attractive because that's my sexual desire. Unfortunately, when you're not attractive like that, it's no, you kind of just have to take what you can get. Welcome to real life. Your partner needs to consent to sexual activities. Okay, you can't be fat, like morbidly obese, and have the Brad Pitts, George Clooney's, and Johnny Depp's of the world fawning over you, because they're going to be banging the hot girls that they want to bang, okay? This is life, okay? The hilarious thing is, I wonder, can we quickly find the, what was it? Fat acceptance, the fat acceptance hypocrisy image from Tumblr. There was one where it's like, it was literally a woman who was like, oh, I'm fat and proud and people need to find me attractive, but, you know, women need to, but, you know, men, but she expressly stated that, you know, she didn't find fat men attractive. And it was like, you've literally just exhibited this preference and fuck you, you're gross. So it was just, I cannot find the image. Oh well, it was really funny though, but it literally was just a fat woman who was like, why do only, you know, gross, disgusting men find me attractive? You know, I only want slim, attractive men to like me, and people were just pointing out the hypocrisy. It is true, chat. Like, hypocrisy is hard to find on Tumblr. It's true, hypocrisy is very easy to find on Tumblr, but my god, trying to find the one specific piece of hypocrisy, it's just, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Anyway, moving ever so swiftly onwards. In fact, the fat woman is supposed to be asexual. Often she is not permitted to experience sexual desire at all, let alone sexual pleasure. Well, no, you're allowed to experience sexual desire, you're just not entitled to have your sexual desires fulfilled by someone else. Welcome to the world. See, chat's got the right idea. I might be 5'1" and 300 pounds, but I expect a 6'5" man with rock-hard abs. Respect me! Yep, that is literally the attitude that goes with this. In the one moment, that fat girl imagined herself as a sexual being, allowed herself to believe she was desirable, and she was made an object of ridicule, had all her sexual anxieties thrown back in her face. Well, why did she have sexual anxieties to start with? I mean, surely if you're just, you know, so fat and proud, you shouldn't have these sexual anxieties. I mean, isn't it really funny that all of these fat women have sexual anxieties that they have to take out on other people and try to normalize it? Maybe the fact that you have sexual anxieties should tell you something, that you are actually, deep down inside, once you push through all of the layers of fat, disgusting flab, that you're not actually happy with yourself. Like, is that maybe a thing to consider? I mean, you should go and, actually, chat, you should go and watch after this. Black Pigeon Speaks recently did a video about, Japanese women and the fat phobia in Japan, and how, like, American women going to Japan were just like, oh my god, everything is, like, so terrible here. I'm constantly reminded that I'm fat and it's just awful. It's like, well, yeah, what a surprise. You're an anomaly. Okay, people don't like fatties. Deal with it. This time we can assume having a wonderful personality is a myth, Teodia. Yes, having a wonderful personality is pretty much a myth. Like, you know those... you get a lot of these fat people. A lot of them like to think they have wonderful personalities to make up for it. What they'll normally use is terms like, oh, I'm bubbly and have a really nice personality. What they mean by bubbly and a nice personality is, don't shut the fuck up. That's normally what it means. It's just... Teal there, how often do you get to mock these papers with your peers? On an almost daily basis. Like, we'll come up with something. There'll normally be one or two of these things a week. I mean, the people that I work with on this, they have, a couple of them are, like, subscribed to, what is it? What's the Twitter that's, like, peer-reviewed, and it's, like, this is peer review or something, which comes up with all of this shit. Like, they dig all that stuff out and post it on Twitter. A couple of them are subscribed to that, so we get like one or two things a week easily that's mentioned. Teal mentioned Black Pigeon in a positive way. Spino's going after him. So, well, everyone on that side of the internet is after me already. I don't give a shit, you know. Actually, I think some of them have just... I think most of them have actually just given up, frankly, because they've realised I don't care. And they can't really get anything anyway, so meh. I felt carved up, split in two. I felt that any conception of myself as a sexual being was ridiculous and could only be imagined in my mind, never acted out by my body. I felt radically disconnected from my own flesh, my own sexuality. One only has to reflect on the ways in which we speak about fatness in this historical moment in Western societies to understand the way in which this mind-body split is generated and enforced. We talk about fatness as a major health crisis, an epidemic, a drain on resources, a symbol of the failed body, and as an aesthetic affront. We do not talk about fat and sex. Look, no one wants to bang a fatty. Okay? No one wants to bang a fatty. Pretty much that simple, right? It's just, yeah. Welcome to real life. You can talk about fat people and sex. I mean, hell, you can go on to a lot of porn websites, just type in the BBW, and you'll get plenty of people fucking fat women. It's, you know, it's a fetish, it's a subgenre. But, welcome to life, you know, you are not what most people find attractive, as we have covered in our consiliency thing. The two appear to be mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive. Like I said, you're still welcome to have your desires as a fat person. You're just not entitled to have those desires fulfilled. We do not almost plow into the car in front of us as we ogle a billboard displaying a fat woman in lacy lingerie. We do not gaze lasciviously at a bulbous bottom in tight jeans. I don't know, I mean, have you met a lot of black guys in your life? I mean, just saying. We do not fantasize about the fleshy jiggles and wobbles of a fat body in the throes of sexual passion. Yes, and with good fucking reason. Just with good reason. Literally, this map, the consiliency map, the thousands of years of human and cultural evolution telling you that no one wants to bang the fatty. Can I get that back up on the screen? It doesn't seem like it wants to. Oh, it's because I minimized the window, of course. There we go. Derp the derp the derp. Because of all of this, It is true, chat. This is a blog post about an academic article. This is how most of them work. It's pretty bad. But yet they all get peer-reviewed and published. It's just... Ugh. How and why, I don't even know. Some of us might, but most of us do not, or at least we know we are not supposed to. In Haynes' blank Big Love, a sourcebook on sex for people of size and those who love them, she discussed the ways in which we are conditioned to think about the linear progression of sex and desire. Culturally, we're taught to believe that sexuality, or that sexual activity, happens as a result of sexual desire. Sexual desire, in turn, happens as a result of beauty, sexiness, sex appeal, and love. Yes, this is how it works. That is exactly how it works. The reason that people find people sexually attractive is because of reproductive potential. And you know what? I'm going to shut down the stupid feminist straw man right now. Because I notice that a lot of them love to shout, "Oh, but my contraceptives! It's not about reproduction, it's about pleasure, meh!" It's like, yeah, just because contraceptives are a thing, that doesn't mean that who you want to bang is no longer about reproductive fitness. You are attracted to people because of reproductive fitness. Just because you have the technology to negate the pregnancy, that doesn't mean that the reason for the sexual desire suddenly disappears or vanishes or anything like that. It's... That's life, I'm afraid. Just because you can negate the outcome of the act of sex, that does not mean that you negate the reason for wanting to have sex. Attraction is not cultural. Attraction is something that is hardwired into you. And this is why you get the odd person who is just a bit of an abnormality, who does find morbidly obese women attractive. But in those instances, I would actually suggest that those are the people who have been socialized into it, because they're normally such horrendously unattractive beta males that they can't do any better, and so they're like, yeah, I'll take what I can get, and thus I will find this. I will find this thing attractive. No, it's just... You're just wrong. Chat's got it right. My testes don't understand contraceptives. They don't. It's your dick. Your dick doesn't understand contraceptives. Like, your sperm doesn't know what that is. Your sperm sees a woman and is like, hey, I'm gonna like punch you in the dick until you go and fuck her, cause I want in that. Welcome to life. It's awful. So this is an interesting thing for chat. It's like if we would invent a pill that would keep you from getting fat, it wouldn't make people not like fat foods. Yeah, it would. Exactly. It's if you literally had a pill that stopped you from ever getting overweight, like it kept you at like your medically perfect ideal weight somehow. First of all, I have to wonder how many of these morbidly obese people would take it. I mean, based on how incredibly massive and how much money the dieting industry makes, I would wager that like 90-something% of them would just be like, yep, I'm taking that. But yeah, you wouldn't stop liking fatty foods just because you had a pill that stopped you from getting fat. In fact, the reason that things like McDonald's are so incredibly successful is because they appeal to the basal evolutionary appeal of fatty foods. It's an evolved trait. There is a reason why humans find fat and sugar very appealing. It's because fat is the highest calorie per gram food that there is. It's higher calorie-wise than carbohydrates or proteins, and sugar is the quick-release energy that gives you energy right now. And obviously, out in the wild, energy right now is better than energy in half an hour, because energy right now means you can dodge the predator and keep searching for more food. So, again, evolved traits, it's misapplied in today's society, but this is why McDonald's is incredibly successful, and places that sell you lettuce are less successful. So let us think about fat bodies having sex. Oh god, do I have to? Ugh. Fat bodies engaging in uncontained pleasures of excessive Yeah, that was a joke, but that's my reaction when I feel bad. There's a reason why we have a person vomiting in the corner of this stream. There is a reason. Our culture codes these imaginings as disgusting, perverse, perhaps an underground sexual fetish for kinks waiting to be dominated and smothered. Yeah, the term I'm looking for is maladaptive. Didn't I say maladaptive? I'm pretty sure I said maladaptive. I might have said mal something else, whatever. But yes, it's just a maladapted thing. Welcome to life. There's so much stuff, it's just... Nature doesn't want you to be happy in modern society. Nature wants you to suffer. But in the mainstream sexual marketplace, fat bodies are not marketable commodities. The fat body stands as a symbol of gluttonous obsession, unmanaged desire, and the failed self. In the midst of an historical epoch marked by a preoccupation with idealized body forms and an eroticism of the slender bodily aesthetic, the fat body appears as a defiant blockage in a culture seduced by particularized notions of beauty and attractive. It's not a cultural thing. This attraction comes from a place of biology. It's the sad reality of it, okay? It's not a preoccupation with idealized beauty. It's not a cultural thing. This is your biology speaking loud and clear to you. And the thing is, you can notice that fat people are making inroads because of more representation in the fashion industry and in beauty shoots and things like that. And, well, what a surprise, people are tuning out of it. It doesn't shift as many units because no one likes a fatty. The body has come to be our visible representation to the world of our adherence to puritanistic lifestyle crusades. Here we go. Correct and healthy diets, exercise regimes, and most importantly, a reflection of the inner self. The body has become a representation of the realized self. I hate my life. Why are we doing this, chat? Just why? Why are we even doing this? In 1978, Susie Orbach released her landmark text, Fat is a Feminist Issue. Here we go. Here we go, lads. Let's get in there. Orbach's central theory in this text was that fat women eat compulsively to stay fat in order to create a sexual buffer between themselves and a repressive patriarchal society. The conception that fat surrounds a female body as a kind of armor to protect against one's sexuality or the exploitation of it is central. Orbach posits that we are taught from a young age that our female bodies are coveted as sexual commodities, that we must be aesthetically pleasing in order to fulfill our roles as women. The bodies of women must be constantly reined in to conform to the image that the commodification of the female form has presented. Okay, false. Yes, some feminist women get fat because they basically don't want men who they don't find sexually attractive to approach them. That's what it comes down to. This is female entitlement. Basically, you're kind of getting it the wrong way around here. Okay, attractive women command a very high sexual marketplace value because they are displaying all of the signs of reproductive fitness. I reference you back to our little consilience tree over here, where we even talked about how prostitutes with a closer to 0.7 waist to hip ratio are literally able to command a higher price tag for men who want to have sex with them. Okay, this is the sexual marketplace and sexual marketplace value. So young attractive women, it's not that men are commodifying the bodies, it's that women commodify their own bodies by being young and attractive. Okay, the fact that you make yourselves fat to stop men from hitting on you is your female entitlement saying, well, I'm oppressed because men that I'm not sexually attracted to keep expressing their sexual interest in me. This means I am oppressed and society is evil. So you get fat so that no one finds you attractive. and then you bitch about the fact that no one finds you attractive, because attraction's just a social construct, yo. It's your female entitlement and your regret at your life decision. Okay, get fat so that men stop hitting on you, or the men that you don't want to hit on you stop hitting on you, and then only men who don't find you attractive, or only men that you don't find attractive, keep hitting on you, so you then bitch about that. It's just... Ugh. How they can be so close to understanding but so far is just... like, it's just so baffling to me. Like, they can be so close to understanding it, but they fundamentally fail. And it's because their essential paradigm is women are victims, rather than women are the ones who basically hold all of the cards in the reproductive game. Shifting on, the role of woman is then necessarily a sexualized one, and our participation in society is regulated by the attractiveness of our bodies and what they can offer. Orbach's model of sexuality suggests that fat must always equate to sexual rejection, and sex is a realm only inhabited by the normative thin female body. Fat emerges as a barrier to a fulfillment of traditional female sexual roles that are upheld by a continuing maintenance of the female body. Orbach asserts, I like how you say that she's asserting here, because this is very important, that while many fat women desire to be thin in order to have access to their female sexuality, becoming a sexual being also holds much fear. In other words, men that you're not sexually attracted to will hit on you, and that's the worst thing ever because reasons. According to Orbach, staying fat means avoiding the issue of one's sexuality altogether, as the fat female body can never be conceptualized as a sexually desirable one. Orbach's understanding of the fat female body relies on an understanding that the fat body houses an uncultivated self. In cultivating this self, the body that reflects this completed process is necessarily a thin one. Okay. Do you know what the sexual revolution did for women? The sexual revolution did for women was it enabled them to pick their sexual partners literally at will. What this resulted in was women basically all aiming for the most attractive men. And there's nothing wrong with this, you know, you want to fuck who you want to fuck. So this happened. So lots of women started aiming for the top, 20-odd% of men. This means that the 80% of men, as we've covered, we have literally demonstrated through the use of OkCupid data. In fact, you know what, let's go grab that, shall we? Let's go and grab that. Women on literally OkCupid, it's fine to use OkCupid data. Some people bitch about it, but literally gathering data from things like OkCupid and Tinder are some of the best things that you can do to find out what people are doing, because you're viewing what people are actually doing without them knowing it. And that's like one of the best ways of gathering data on people. So women rated 80% of men as basically being less than average in attractiveness. So what this indicates to you is that women basically only find the top 20% of men attractive, whereas men kind of rate women on this this bell curve, sort of 50-50. This is how it works. Now, we can add into that, where did I put the bookmark? I think it's over here. Oh no, did I get rid of the bookmark? Oh no, did I? I hope I didn't, okay, where was it? Can I quickly find it? I cannot find it. Ugh, that's really annoying. Hang on, did I transfer the bookmarks into, Opera? I think I might have done. If that's the case, maybe I can find it. I just want to see if this is the information that I want. Oh, that's really annoying. I can't show you it because it's like, oh, you're blocking ads on our website because you can't run no script in Opera, apparently. God damn it. Where was it? I don't know if this is actually... No, I don't think that's the one. Okay, but basically there was... I will explain it and I'll see if I can find it later. Basically, there was a thing done on Tinder and a survey done on successful encounters. And basically it was something like 80 or 90% of women on Tinder were getting laid, but only about... I think it was like 18% of men get laid on Tinder or something like that, which again shows the exact same pattern. So it was basically women get laid a shitload more, and women and men, again, it was basically only like the top 20-something% of it. So in this instance, this is what you're looking at here. So the female sexuality, it doesn't hold this fear. So this is what the sexual revolution did. It basically said women are only aiming at the top 20% of men. So 80% of men basically don't really get laid very often at all. Whereas women are out basically being able to fuck the top 20% of men pretty much as and when. So what this means is that basically women spend a lot of their time being approached by guys that they don't find attractive. And this is the thing that these feminists like to constantly fucking bitch about. And that's what this author is talking about when it's like, oh, being sexual, being of the... No, it's not necessarily the 80-20 rule, chat. It just so happens that it just happens that it's come out at about 80-20. I don't know why, but it just seems that it does. So what this means is that these women are constantly being approached by guys that they basically don't find attractive and have absolutely no interest in, like most of the time. That is the so-called fear that these women have. And what they seem to fail to realize is that this is like actually one hell of a privilege that they've got. It's like, no, you have the privilege of basically being the gender that people will actively approach and basically being offered affection, attention, and sex pretty much whenever you want it. So this idea that it's like this is some sort of oppression or something like that is ridiculous. It's only oppression because it's like, oh, I'm not attracted to you, so yeah, fuck you, basically. That means I'm being oppressed. No, it doesn't work like that. No. So what these women do is they get fat so that most men won't be attracted to them, and then they bitch that no men are approaching them at all, and they still can't get laid by the top 20% of men that they want to bang. I mean, what a surprise. Michael Foucault's later work, which is marked by a particular articulation of ethics, is also concerned with practices that allow for a cultivation of the self. Foucault suggests that one might be able to create oneself as a work of art through sets of ethical practices that were less interested in what dictates of a universalizing moral code, and more to do with techniques of the self. These techniques, he suggests, enable a creative means of connecting oneself to one body. Foucault stresses the importance of the aesthetic ideal in cultivating oneself. What strikes me is the fact that in our society, art has become something which is related only to objects and not to individuals, or to life. But couldn't everyone's life become a work of art? From the idea that the self is not given to us, I think that there is only one practical consequence. We have to create ourselves as a work of art. So, I mean, is it really so wrong to say don't eat like a fucking hippo and maybe exercise a little bit? Maybe, is that a thing? Yeah, chat's talking about a fat tax or a woman tax. I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, actually, one thing to consider there, which is very interesting, is you know that there's this thing about a human right to having a family and things like that. That it is a human right for someone to start a family. Well, it could be very interesting. If that were a thing, because what that human right essentially says is that basically you have a right to fuck someone and have kids with them. So literal. So I'm looking at it and thinking, hang on, is this law here in a roundabout way basically saying that rape should be legalized? Because I mean, how are you going to have a family without a consenting partner? It's just a thing to consider. Just a thing to consider. Yeah, it's that's just a thing to consider. Maybe that would be worth doing something about in the not too distant future. I don't know. More ideas than I have time to do. Moving so swiftly onwards, the way in which we conduct ourselves then and maintain our lives and bodies produces the lens through which we understand ourselves and our world. Foucault references the Greco-Roman world when he explains that to live a beautiful life one must avoid regimes of excess and practice control in all aspects of one's existence. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is important to point out that despite his close examination of these classical societies, Foucault never suggests that the practices of the Greco-Roman world can be grafted unproblematically onto our contemporary society, and in his discussion of aesthetic of existence, he is not, he claims, looking for a solution for the modern subject in the practices of the classical world. He speaks instead of his attempt to construct a genealogy of problems and to explore the dangers inherited in all modes of thinking and being. In all ways of being in the world are dangerous, it is our task to decide whether the dangers of some modes of being outweigh others. Jesus Christ. Grafted unproblematically onto our contemporary society. So just because some people a few centuries ago said that, you know, you should restrain yourself from excess and maybe, you know, go for a fucking walk every once in a while, apparently that is problematic if you try to graft it onto contemporary society. Of course it is. Of course it is. Despite this, Foucault nevertheless suggested, quote, an aesthetics of existence may be enabling possibilities for us insofar as we could make ourselves works of art by observing the fine balances these ancient people kept between the overarching binaries of activity and passivity, excess and restraint. What interests Foucault is, quote, those intentional and voluntary actions by which men not only set themselves rules of conduct, but also seek to transform themselves, to change themselves in their singular being, and to make their lives into an oeuvre that carries certain aesthetic values and meets certain stylistic criteria, end quote. Just, my God. I did notice that someone in the chat mentioned something about religion and shame. This is something that's actually pretty interesting. It is very interesting how religion as itself is a great reproductive system. It is a system that literally is there to procure reproduction for your sort of your people's existence. And in some ways, it's kind of a shame that religion has been ousted from society in certain capacities like that, because gluttony is something which is frowned upon in a lot of religions. Obviously, homosexuality is often frowned upon, and there is stressing of things like the family unit, and often high stresses on only taking one sexual partner, you know, one man, one woman, marriage sorts of thing, which works as a means of not only keeping STDs down, but also actually works as a means of parental assurance for men. So there's a lot of very interesting little ties to religion and reproductive success and reproductive fitness in society. So it does seem that maybe removing certain aspects of religion like that has actually led to the rise of this, oh, I can just be fat and it's totally okay thing. And it's not saying that we need religion for morals or anything like that. You can absolutely have secular morals. It is a thing. But it's just interesting how the removal of the concept of shame and gluttony as sin and things like that, and the lack of pornography and whatnot that religion espouses, has basically led to a lot of these problems like that. Someone in chat saying, writer's name Obesity Time Bog, she has an interview on a blog where she talks about getting fat surgically removed could be akin to getting gender reassignments. Jesus Christ. Of course, what a What a surprise. The subject of aesthetics, then, is not simply self-restraining, but is in fact, and Foucault seems oblivious to this, constrained by culturally specific stylistic criteria. False. As we have shown, it is not a cultural thing. You know, being fat being a bad thing is not a cultural thing. There are cultural elements to it, but it is something which has come from an evolutionary framework and the psychological adaptation which has come from there. I think I'm going to get a drink, actually. My throat is getting a little bit dry now. What shall we have? I believe I shall actually treat myself a little bit, chat. I'm gonna, rather than just getting some water, I believe I'm going to have a little can of Dr. Pepper. Ah, pushing the boat out. It is, of course, zero, with none of the calories in there and all of that delicious cancer-inducing sweeteners. So I will die of cancer, not fatness. It's very, very important, chap. Permit me to wet my whistle a little bit. That's a good beverage right there. And someone points out the fat Buddha. Buddha wasn't a symbol of health, but wisdom, yes. And also, not all Buddhas are fat. Hashtag not all Buddhas. Where do we get to here? Yes. In the use of pleasure, Foucault asserts that all systems of social morality imply self-discipline and control, including the expected maintenance of the body. One of the four areas of daily life that Foucault examines is that of dietetics and the care of the body, where he analyses the regime of the classic Greeks as a set of practices that enable a system of bodily ethics. The classical regimen favoured restraint and avoided excess. Foucault then implicitly intimates that ethics is directly related to aesthetics, and his understanding of being ethical relies on a concept of beautiful appearance. Who prescribes this aesthetic? Evolution prescribes this aesthetic. The reason that we find human bodies aesthetic in certain ways and other ones less aesthetic or something like that is because of reproductive fitness. It's true, chat. At least I realise diet drinks are worse than non-diet ones. Yes. Yes, they really are. Some of the sweeteners in them are just... they are literally cancer. But because of the problems that I have exercising in a cardiovascular capacity, things like running, cycling, these are all very difficult things for me to do. This is why I do a shitload of weightlifting, but I've got to keep the calorie content low. So, it's very important. I will give myself the cancer so that I don't get fat. It's very important. But, yeah, evolution is the thing which is prescribing this aesthetic. Okay, like, okay. I am... okay, look, I'm just going to do this. Okay. Body fat for women. Let's have a little look at body fat charts for women. Let's try and get... okay, this is not sort of unreasonable. You can get plenty of these things. There we go, that one's unpixelated. Okay, now, you can't get that any bigger. Can we? No. Okay. So this, can we blow that up? We can. Okay. The average body fat percentage for a woman is basically 20 to 30%. Men average is pretty much, you know, 15 to 20, something like this. It's kind of around this area. This is sort of the average. These sorts of three people here. This is pretty average, men and women there. Like, are you seriously suggesting, all these fat people, that this is that hard to get to? I mean, you can go up to, like, sort of 30 and you'll be fine. Okay, can we see what this looks like in sort of realistic terms? Something a bit more tangible for you then? I mean, is it really so hard? I mean, this is 30 to 35. This is the upper end of healthy. This is kind of the healthier range here, and this towards the lower end. Is it really that difficult to stay at this or less? Like, is this really so hard? Is it this difficult to stay at this or less? Okay, is it really so difficult? Someone in chat is trying something. Aesthetics depends on the area, society, function, and add factor here. Let go of the tirade. No, as we've demonstrated, we have demonstrated cross-culturally, cross-time period, this aesthetic sticks. Okay, it's not a function of different areas and different societies, no. It is a constant across societies, across histories, across ethnic boundaries, geographic boundaries, political boundaries, economic boundaries. It is a universal. So don't give me any of that, oh, it depends on a load of things shit. No, it really doesn't. It is a constant. There's a little bit of plasticity in between basically 20 to 30%, but that's about it. You are wrong if you're trying to say that different societies do it differently. There has never been a society which has glorified people being morbidly obese. Ever. Just doesn't fucking happen. Alright. So I would argue that this aesthetic is not something spontaneously produced by us, but is a learned discursive production that allows us to understand and embody the dictates of beauty. The fat woman appears as uncared for, unmanaged, excessive body. Her body is seen as one of gluttonous obsession and unchecked desires. She is a body out of control, whereas an art of existence is all about reining in giving shape and form to one's life, one's desires, one's bodies. No, I'm sick of repeating myself. No, it's not culturally learned. This is something informed by biological hardwiring and evolutionary reproductive advantage. There is a little bit of learned discursiveness to it, but not a whole lot. So for instance, in those what was it? In the blind people studies, for instance, that were done, when comparing men with vision to men without vision, men with vision did exhibit the preference for the 0.7 a little bit more than the blind men, so it was larger in that. But other than that, no. But other than that, no. So what that indicates is that there might be a little bit of learned behavior reinforcing it, but no, it just no. The point is the learned part is like 10% of it. Like the 90% of it is something which is hardwired into you. Outside of, you know, the odd weird fetishist and things like that. But the fact that those fetishists exist, it doesn't disprove the general trend, but it does indicate that they're it does indicate that something outside the norm has been successful at some point. It's just, god damn it, just fat people logic. The individual fulfilled himself as an ethical subject by shaping a precisely measured conduct that was plainly visible to all and deserving to be long remembered. In this way, in order for the fat woman to conform to the aesthetic ideals that lie at the core of the art of existence, she needs to transform her body and her flesh to become normatively beautiful. She must achieve this through restraining her supposed excessive desires. She must learn to exercise control in all aspects of her daily life. She must set about employing Foucault's techniques of the self. Rather than focusing on the normalizing discourses associated with aesthetics, Foucault seems more interested in the element of choice we have in taking up the ethical practices in accordance with which we allegedly choose to construct our existence. Discussing ethics in classical Greek society, he says, It is that we have to build our existence as a beautiful existence. It is an aesthetic mode. Nobody is obliged in classical ethics to behave in such a way as to be truthful to their wives, to not touch boys, and so on. But if they want to have a beautiful existence, if they want to have a good reputation, they have to do that. So they accept those obligations in a conscious way for the beauty or the glory of existence. The choice, the aesthetic choice, for which they decide to accept this kind of existence is a choice. It's a personal choice. Basically, if you want to be seen as someone respectable and desirable, Don't be a fucking degenerate. Wow. I mean, color me fucking surprised. Just like, it's so bizarre that they just sort of want to go, oh, it's all social, it's all cultural. There's a reason why a certain pattern of behavior is a norm here. And a lot of it is not to do with cultural reinforcement. A lot of it is to do with a base biological standpoint on which the culture is built. So yeah, there is a bit of cultural reinforcement, but again, you're looking at like 90-10 or 80-20, something like that, of some sort of evolutionary reason versus cultural. Foucault's assertion here encapsulates my concern with the question of the degree to which we are free to choose our investment in aesthetic ideals. What the quote clearly demonstrates is that in order to be seen as living a beautiful life, and thus to be positioned as and to make up the position of the subject of aesthetics, one must necessarily conform to the aesthetic expectations of others. But from whence do the aesthetic preferences of people come from? The answer is, as we've spent the first 30-40 minutes looking at, evolutionary pressures for mate choice and beneficial mate choice, as opposed to really bad mate choice. Yeah. Crazy shit, I know. After reading Foucault, I thought back to the way I experienced myself in response to the story about the fat girl at the centre of the rodeo. Here we go. You've gone for a few paragraphs without being the victim. Now you gotta get it out. Gotta turn up that feminist victim chainsaw. Someone's saying, wouldn't you say Pacific Islanders and Samoans do glorify obesity? I'm unsure, but I thought obesity was kind of cherished in those cultures. No, obesity is not cherished. Pacific Islanders have problems with obesity, but it's not because obesity is glorified. There's a lot of problems with Pacific Islanders being really poor and having really shit diets, which just makes them fat. It doesn't mean that being fat is glorified. Some really poor cultures that you find, the things that people like to point to and say, oh, this culture likes, really loves fat people, so fuck you, you're wrong. For instance, like certain Eskimo cultures, some places in Pacific Islands, and I believe there's some area in Africa where there is a specific sort of trial where guys have to go out and basically try to eat as much as possible to get fat to come back and get a woman. They're not glorifying obesity. What they're actually glorifying is, first of all, they're glorifying someone on the upper end of healthy body fat, and what's actually being glorified in that instance isn't the fat. What's being glorified is males and their ability at resource acquisition, which is one of the things that women find most attractive in men. So it's not obesity which is being glorified, it's resource acquisition and being able to put yourself on the upper end of healthy body fats. So no, it's not obesity or anything like that. It's basically a sexual display, and it's temporary as well. They don't get that fat and then stay that fat. They put on a little bit of extra just for that one-off display, and then they usually slim down from there. So no, it's it's not like, oh, obesity is the thing. No, it's never obesity, never. TLDR white-splaining Pacific cultures. Well, that's life, I'm afraid. That's what's going on there. It's not obesity being glorified. It's something else entirely. So Foucault at first seemed to offer me a means of reconnecting myself to my body, of living a beautiful life free of humiliation and shame of dominant understandings of the fat female bodies. Someone saying Hottentot. We've been over Hottentot. We covered that in the first, 40 minutes. Fertility symbols and things like that, they are abnormalities in art They do not necessarily represent the norm, nor the ideal, and fertility symbols, again, not the norm nor the ideal. However, in thinking through these practices of the self, new questions emerge. Can we choose the level of investment we have in historically and culturally specific aesthetic ideals necessary for living this beautiful existence? If an aesthetic is indeed, as Foucault might insist, a discursive production, if we cultivate ourselves in relation to that ideal, to what extent can the self be created as a free and autonomous being? Further, what would be the role of the other in this notion of living a beautiful life? It would seem that an aesthetic of existence is never just a relation of self to self, but is necessarily a relation of others and to the world, and we are irrevocably constructed by the aesthetic ideals of others and the world. To a degree, this is correct, in a certain way. We've covered that the relation of yourself to others is something which is evolutionarily informed, but this does tie nicely into ideas just generally of identities of yourself and in society. You yourself don't determine the entirety of your identity. Your identity is something which is not only self-constructed, but also has a degree of social sanctioning to it as well. So, for instance, if someone disagrees with who you are, then you can't be that thing. So your identity is partially self-constructed, but also partially a socially contracted with others. So you can go and listen to Jordan Peterson on that. He's got some excellent lectures that cover things like that, and it is correct. So that's life. If we think back to the sexual practices of the rodeo, with which I opened this paper, good times, yo, that we see that the ridicule of the fat woman comes from society's own implicit understanding of aesthetic values, and the ways in which her body contravenes them. She is situated as a ridiculous sexual creature, ravenously and libidinously out of control. She is made ridiculous by her seeming refusal to bear witness to the offensiveness of her own body. To actively become sexual, she must act on her body to transform it, or, as Foucault suggests, to master it, to resolve the affront it presents to dominant aesthetic values. And yeah, you could just try not being a fat fuck, or, you know, you can go and set yourself up with a feeder, get really fat, and, you know, have a really, really bizarre life like that. Someone saying, Teal'c, are you fat? No. What a fucking surprise. I am not fat. God. Bizarre questions. It's like, you rip on fat people, does that mean you're fat? No. Unsurprisingly. Someone who engages in 4 days of weightlifting a week, sometimes 5, and really tries to control their diet to limit fat intake and sugar intake, you think they're going to be fat? No. I am in the healthy region. Because it's very important to be within the healthy region of body fat. And then have a shit ton more muscle on top of it, because why the hell not? Remember, you are not... You kind of suck unless you're deadlifting at least 350. You're probably not there yet. You probably haven't made it, chat. You should get on that. It's very important. So, we measure beauty through aesthetics, which is a learned understanding of what is attractive and sublime. It's not learned. It's not learned. It comes from literally evolution. Teal'c needs to fat shame Sargon. I could fat shame Sargon because he's, well, the guy is literally a hobbit. Like, the guy is a hobbit. He's the living embodiment of a hobbit. You know, short, fat, round, rolls along the ground, but, you know, that's your choice. You want to live your life like that, then you live your life like that. How many fat deers do you see? Excellent question, chat. The answer is, what if you can deadlift 350 but you're still fat? If you can deadlift 350 and you're still fat, you probably shouldn't be fat. Let's roll on. It would seem to me, given that Foucault does not clearly explain the way in which he understands the concept of aesthetics, that the fat woman must cultivate herself by transforming her ugly and ridiculous body to a thinner, more aesthetically pleasing, attractive, and sublime form, in cultivating herself, she must overcome her fat body. The fat body can never be seen to be living a beautiful life in the way Foucault suggests, as it is always already read in terms of its association with gluttony, lack of self-control, and excess. Jesus, dear, 350 kilograms is a high bar to set on deadlifts, but I'm working on it. Yeah, 350 is a very high bar. That's why it should be your aim. It's like, if you can do that, then you've made it. To be honest, once you've basically, when it comes to strength standards, you know, once you've hit 1.5 times your body weight deadlifting, you're already strong. Like, as soon as you get, once you hit twice, you're pretty damn up there, honestly. Like, people like to talk about, like, you go onto bodybuilding forums and whatnot. First of all, there's a lot of people who like to e-stat on those things, so you can't really ever trust them. Once you're doing 1.5 to 2 times your body weight as a deadlift, you're all right. You know, you're pretty much all right from there. If you're going over 2 times your body weight, then yes, you're strong. But aim for 1.5 as your 1.5 should be like your baseline. As soon as you can do that, then you're all right. And that's repping it out, by the way, not just 1 rep max. So aim to rep out a good, like, you know, 5, 1.5 times your body weight. You're going to be pretty damn strong. Compared to the average person anyway, but aim for 2. Aim for 2 times. It's far better if you go with strength standards according to your own body weight, not according to some, you know, exterior thing. It's just like, yeah. Are you talking about a 350 deadlift to overhead press? If I was talking about a deadlift to an overhead press, I wouldn't have said deadlift. I would have said overhead press. Derp. Deadlifting is bad for your back, though. No, it isn't. Deadlifting is bad for your back if you're doing it wrong. Seriously. Deadlifting is actually really, really good. Is really good for your back, actually, if you do it correctly. Deadlifting will make your back strong and stop you from injuring it, as long as you don't train like a fucking moron. Anyway, we're not going to turn this into a lifting stream. That reminds me, it is actually my deadlifting day today. I would like to go and get that done this evening. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Deadlifting is for weak pussies. No. Bad for the knees? No. Deadlifting is good for your knees. Deadlifting is good for you. Does the 1.5 apply to women as well? No, that's men. If you're saying that, if you're saying deadlifting is bad for you, you're an idiot. No, deadlifting is very good for you. It fixes your posture and it protects you from damage. It's very important. So anyway, let's actually get back onto. Let's actually get back onto the reason that we're here. Damn son giving me motivation. You want some more motivation? You want a little bit more motivation? Come on, get it up! Get the fucking weight up, you pussy! Lightweight, baby! Yeah! You got 1 more in you! 1 more! Something like that. Continuing ever onwards, while in dominant discourses, women are always already associated with characteristics such as excess and immoderation. The fat woman embodies the worst of them. In the popular imagination, her desires have run wild, and she stands as a symbol of moral and ethical decay. She does not fulfill feminine expectations of beauty and submissions. She takes up too much space. She is uncontained and excessive. In short, she does not and cannot be seen to be living a beautiful life. So yeah, she can't. I'm sorry, what? What is all of this? We're now talking. Teal dear, that's crazy. Are you a PT? You're scary when you can lift that much. I didn't realize Teal dear can beat the shit out of anyone. What the fuck are you even talking about? God damn. Chat, shut up and do your deadlifts, you fucking weakling. Make your body strong, stop being fucking weak. Remember, chat, it's Wednesday. It's pull day today. That means deadlifts. Heavy fucking deadlifts. It means some high pulls. It means power cleans. It means rows. Let's get on there. Let's get on that, chat. Let's get on that. Get fucking huge. Get that fucking giant yoke up. Get those fucking wangs that mean you can't actually fit through a fucking door. Do that, chat. Do it. Do it with me, chat. Let's go. Let's fucking have it, shall we? Hey, I deadlift my controller regular. Just sad. Sad, man. Sad, man. Post routine. I just posted my routine, kind of. That's pretty much what I actually do. What is pull day? Yeah. I vary them up a little bit, but stream derailed. Yes, stream is derailed officially. Yeah, no, I just do a simple push-pull full body routine. It works. Yeah, half and half. Works pretty damn well. Today is pull day, which means deadlifts. It means high pulls. It means power cleans. It means barbell rows. So that's a pull day, man. It's a proper pull day. Getting those weights up, getting them up, getting ready to get them overhead. Gonna do some curls. Don't just faggot. Why would you even curl? To be fair, I do curls as well. Hammer curls. Most bang for your buck across the entirety of the arm. Works nicely. If I can actually ever be bothered to do them, which most of the time I can't. It's like, maybe I'll do like 1 or 2 sets at the end of everything. I'm more concerned with deadlifting. It is true, chat, you need to stop being fat or I'm going to fat shame you. What is the teal deer split? I just told you, it's a push-pull. So, push day, pull day, rest, push day, pull day, rest. No legs, you do legs on push and pull days. You do. That's it. Can we get back to the article? Yes, we can. We can get back to the article. Harmful Opinion says leg pressing your body weight is hard. No, leg pressing your body weight is easy. So is it possible to elaborate on aesthetics that does not structurally exclude the fat woman? An aesthetic that could operate independently of dominant historical and culturally specific ways of coding feminine beauty. It is my argument that while forming a counter-aesthetic is possible, there is an inherent impossibility in the ways in which it can be taken up and seen as beautiful by mainstream society. In deriving this beauty and glory of life that Foucault suggests an art of existence affords, do we not have to conform in some way to the expectations of what we should be in order to be aesthetic subjects? Do we not have to rely on the desires and pleasures of others to bring us into being? Here we go, we're getting into this now. Because literally everything is a fucking social construct, we can tell people what to find attractive. God. No, you can't. You can talk all you want about trying to change the dialogue, trying to create some counter-aesthetic or something like that. Thing is, it's not going to work. I didn't realise there were so many fitizens in my chat. I'm getting all of the questions about routines and shits and proteins and all of that shit. The thing is, you're not going to get most of the answers because people will be e-statting e-statters. No one likes an e-statter. Can't we just accept we're all sick fucks? Well, yeah, you can do that. Wait, there are people who can't leg press their body weight for reps. What the fuck? Yeah, it's always struck me as kind of weird. I mean, there are some people who have, you know, legit reasons for it, like people who actually can't walk properly, like people who have, like, deviated knees or things like that. Mind you, to be fair, I've got a deviated knee and I can still leg press way more than my body weight, like, way fucking more. But yes. So yeah, that's what I find so bizarre. It's like, yeah, some guy with chronic leg pains, chronic back problems, and a deviated knee can still deadlift and can still leg press way more than his own body weight. Yes, it's almost like there's no fucking excuse and almost like lifting things can actually make you better. What's an e-statter? An e-statter is every person on the internet who talks about how much weight they lift. Because e-stats are always lies. They are always bigger numbers than what someone can actually lift. That's what an e-stat is. Because there's so many people on the internet who will lie about the amount of weight that they can lift on the internet. They are e-statters, because they just fucking lie all the time. Basically, the entirety of the bodybuilding forums, most of Fit, you know. Article, dear. Yeah, I like talking about gains. I like talking about lifting weights and gains. It's a very important part of my life. I like to exercise. It's important, it's good for you. So how does the person who is excluded from the dominant aesthetic ideal experience pleasure in his or herself and his or her actions? In America in 1969, Llewellyn Louderback, a husband tired of seeing the distress caused to his wife by a society who reviled her fat body, founded the National Association to Aid Fat Americans. I hate my life so much. Why would you even do this? Later, it was renamed the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, NAFA. NAFA works to stop the daily discrimination against fat people through political actions such as lobbying airlines who insist on charging 2 airfares for a fat passenger to travel, movie theatres that do not accommodate the expansive hips of fat patrons, and other sites of size discrimination. If you're taking up the space of 2 seats, you should pay for 2 seats. It's unfair. It's unfair that I have to pay for the space that I take up. We've got a lot of F's in chat because someone has a very sad life coming up. I'm currently doing a bridging course to enter university as a mature age student. I'm going into mechanical engineering. The bridging course forces me to say social justice unit. Press F to pay respects for my sanity. Yeah, you're going to need a lot of F's for that, because, yeah, it's... You're going to hate yourself for that one. If it's only like 1 module or something, you'll be fine. Grit your teeth and, you know, bear through it. You're going to make it, bro. We're all going to make it. Where did we get to with this? Oh, yeah. NAFA attempts to celebrate fatness through events such as pool parties, lingerie shows, and fashion parades for their fat members. I think I've actually got a picture of one of their pool parties here. Let's see. Yeah, here's a picture of one of their pool parties. This is a NAFA swimming pool party right here. Very body positive. It's a wonderful sight. Look at all these people embracing their bodies. Truly subverting the expectations of society there. However, this is problematic in that they are simply reversing the dominant aesthetic ideal rather than dismantling and subverting it. Oh, terrible. I mean, why would you want to reverse it? You have to dismantle and subvert it. What does this mean? Please tell us. Perhaps the fat woman could find a space for her body by drawing on marginalized counter-discourses, but this is not likely to be very successful precisely because her being as a subject of a counter-aesthetics is not recognized or validated by the dominant social powers. So the question then is, how could we recognize the pleasure of the other and or his/her aesthetic practices as examples of an alternative, beautiful life? God damn it. God damn it. See, this is the sort of thing that... I suppose this is the feminism didn't do nothing wrong sort of thing. It's, oh, well, they're doing these things and it's not working. So it wasn't real, you know, fat acceptance, because they were just reversing things. It's just, yeah, no, they need to reverse it. They need to dismantle and subvert, not reverse, because you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Fat people logic. Just, it's awful. Foucault asks, are we able to have an ethics of acts and their pleasures which would be able to take into account the pleasure of the other? Is the pleasure of the other something which can be integrated in our pleasures? Here Foucault poses a problematic question of whether, in fact, the pleasure of the other can be incorporated into our own pleasure. I would argue that this seems to erase differences and attempts to normalize the experience of pleasure, even as it appears to be other-oriented. To further illustrate these claims, I will turn now to the example of feederism. Here we go! Here we go! We're going into the fetishists now. Let's see where this is gonna go. I foresee much cake in the future. Feederism is an underground fat sexual practice that involves women who allow themselves to be submissively force-fed through a funnel by a dominant male master who derives sexual excitement from watching his submissive servant grow fatter and fatter as he forces her to eat more and more. False! This is not strictly true. Some of these relationships are this way around, however, feederism can often be considered a form of female domination, because it can be the woman demanding and then the man submissively serving all of her needs and wants and desires. So it's no, you're getting this wrong immediately. But, you know, once again, men do everything bad and women are always the victims. Because, you know, it couldn't just be that these are women sitting back, living the life and all of that sort of shit, and having a completely subservient male just giving them literally everything that they want. It's just, no, we can't even do it this way. Women are fat and it's men's fault. Quite right, chap. This is where they're going with this. It's no, it can't possibly be. Teal'c is an expert on fatty sciences, even the degenerate ones. I know a great many things, and many of the things I know I wish I did not know. There is a goal weight for the women who allow themselves to be force-fed, which is over 500 pounds, at which time they are said to have joined the 500 Club. Disturbingly, men who engage in this sexual fetish known as feeders often force-feed the feedee to the point where she is completely immobilized, so fat she can no longer move, clean herself, or leave the house. Once the dominant male feeder has achieved the goal of incapacitating his feedee, he will leave the woman and go and find another one who is interested in what is termed erotic weight gain. False! This is... no. No, women want this. It's not about the man forcing, it's about the woman demanding and then the man capitulating to this desire. There are so many men who are in relationships with women like this who are fucking miserable because they feel trapped by the fact that the woman actually needs her because she can't fucking move. How can one be so wrong about this? It's just, okay, can we do this? Okay, here you go. Look, let's go to the Huffington Post, shall... I don't care. Fuck off. Here we go. Here's an example. Fat fetishism. Tammy, 23, force feeds herself with a funnel to earn money as a BBW on the internet. There's pictures and videos, and oh god, we just don't want it. So yeah, this is an exact example of what I am talking about here. This is the woman in control of this. This is not the man forcing her. This is the woman forcing her. Forcing the man into doing this. It's just... see, this is her. She does this sort of shit herself. Okay, you're getting the idea here. It's... Can we get... can we find some more of this shit? Can we find anything else? And I probably have to go to like some of the tumblers and things like that, and I don't want to do that because a lot of that would probably be not safe for work. But yeah, like, so the idea that this is some male power fantasy over women, no. A lot of these things, in fact, I would wager that most of these things are actually just beta males being kind of emotionally cajoled into doing this by women because they have no idea that they could do better. Again, just a hypothesis on my part, but I would wager that that scenario is far more common than a dominant male to a submissive female in this. Pear Chan became a fucking huge whale. She does BBW fetish stuff. I don't even know who that is. So here we go. Hi, my name is Kathy. I'm 681 pounds submissive eating machine that is addicted to eating and being so stuffed I can't move. Would like to talk to anyone who is supportive of my lifestyle. I am actively being force-fed and funnel-fed, and the fatter I get, the fatter I want to be. Would like to talk to women and men who share my relentless need to be stuffed and packed with fattening foods till I can't move. Again, this is the woman. The woman wants this, not the man. The woman is the one who is demanding this. Just... the very fact that people like this exist just makes me fucking sad. Someone in chat does make a valid point, though. The only reason to date a fat chick is because she knows how to swallow like a pro. It's true. Please stop the images. No. Please stop. No, we're not stopping, chat. We're not stopping. We're getting into this. We're going even deeper. We've got to push all the rolls of fat aside until we get to that moist, sweaty core where the human used to be. The woman who describes herself in this personal advert positions herself as an active participant in erotic weight gain. Almost like they have a fucking say in it. I would argue that this further problematizes the concept of choice that Foucault posits, where he assumes an autonomous and free subject who can choose the modes of being to embody and live out, independent of dominant ideals. It is hard for most of us to imagine that a woman would want to put herself in a position of mortal danger, and yet they do! Yet they do! You've got an example right here in your own paper. I just really quickly Googled up an example for you. Okay, that's the sort of stuff that you need to be looking for, but like I said, I would posit that the woman being the one who is instigating this is probably more likely than the man. A fat person who has been taught all his or her life that he or she was disgusting and physically undesirable might even find a feeder's erotic interest so gratifying that he or she becomes a willing feedee simply in order to find him or her overtly sexy. For me, one of the most troubling aspects of the relationship between the dominant male feeder and the submissive male feedee is the fact that you're completely wrong. Anyway, is that it suggests a kind of creationist fantasy for the male in which he derives sexual pleasure from bringing a monstrous creature into being. What this fantasy disavows is the debt to the other that is incurred in the construction of that self as godlike. In this way, the pleasure of the other exists only insofar as they serve the purpose of the project, which remain tacit rather than implicit, or the cultivation of the self. Here we go, boys. Here we go. I have turned you into a land whale. I am a god. I'm pretty damn sure that that's not what's happening. Just... okay, can I find anything like this? I'm not even sure where we'd go to this. Dare we go into the pit of Tumblr? I dare not go into Tumblr. Okay, let's just quickly scroll through this. It seems to mostly be work safe. So, let's have a little look-see at all of these really fat people. How many of them are women, and how many of them are reveling in how incredibly fat they are? I mean, let's just go through this, shall we? How many of these are women who are morbidly obese and glorifying in how incredibly fat they are, and actively stating, oh, I want to get even more fat because that's the thing that's gonna give me some sort of meaning. I mean, look at all the stuff that I derive from how incredibly fat and disgusting I am. Look at this. Oh, revenge gaining, fat for X. Look at this. This.
Maybe I'm just not fat enough for him. He's gonna be in shock at how much rounder and plumper I look. It's gonna have to.
Can we hear this?
More jiggly than this.
See, this is. Remember, this is a woman being forced to do this by a man. She's literally getting fat as a means of, like, basically showing how bad her ex-boyfriend is. I mean, are we... Like, look, they are literally glorifying this shit themselves. Are you serious? Oh, look, there's one involving a man. It's drawn, of course it is. But no, it's all about food. It's all women. It is all women being all like, oh, look at how incredibly fat and great I am for being fat. I mean, who did this? Can we... I don't want to reblog this. Can we... I'm gonna... no, I can't go to some of them because safe mode. What a surprise. Can we locate some of these horrendous... You know what? I don't want to locate any of these blogs. I don't. Okay, so... I think maybe a very brief scroll through Tumblr has demonstrated how incredibly wrong this academic article is. I mean, you know what? We need this. I think this is something which is necessary, isn't it, chat?
By the Emperor, this must be purged!
Yes. We have to put the Astartes voice modulator on there. It was necessary. By the Emperor, indeed. So all of these women, no, these are being forced by men to do this. This isn't women feeding themselves. This isn't women doing this to get back and revengeance themselves upon their men and all of this. Just... Okay. This author, you are wrong. Okay, you are just wrong. Okay, this is not men dominating women. This is women getting into this shit willingly because it allows them to sit around being fat, disgusting, useless blobs while a man takes care of them. It's like the ultimate female fantasy. Sit around and do fucking nothing all damn day while someone takes care of you, and you can just bitch and whine about everything and get everything you want like a fucking disgruntled child. Similarly, what emerges from Foucault's account of erotic relations in the classical world is that the subject of aesthetics creates himself through a relation to the other that is disavowed. Let me elucidate this. Unlike the feeder, whose primary focus is on the other, the subject of aesthetics in the Foucauldian schema is concerned primarily with the self, the relation to itself and practices of self-transformation that allegedly contribute to a beautiful life. However, I would posit that the subject of the aesthetics can only recreate himself as such by structurally denying the other any such possibility. In short, through this process of self-cultivation, the subject of aesthetics, like the male feeder, comes into being through the simultaneous production of the other as an object. What this demonstrates is that the self and other are inextricably bound, and it is impossible to construct the self without reference to others and intersubjective world, despite Foucault's insistence that blah 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 blah. Okay, so... I'm sorry, but the message that I've got this from the author is that men make women fat to feel better about themselves. That's what I got from that. I hope that that's not what this person is saying, but I get the very distinct feeling that this is what was going on in this paragraph here. Just If that is seriously the implication that these women are being made fat by these men so that these men can feel better about themselves for not being fat, then just stop. Please just stop, author. Unfortunately, we are near the end. I believe this is like the last page, so let's just see the degeneracy through to the end. Foucault's beautiful lie experiences her pleasure almost by proxy. What I mean by this is that her pleasure, if it exists at all, is always already an effect of the aesthetic practices and ideals of the male subject. The fat feedee, like the other, can never actively participate in her own self-cultivation. So women have been tricked. They have been tricked, you see. These women have been tricked into gaining some sort of pleasure from the fact that the man looks better than them, because that's how it works. Of course it is. Foucault seems to discount the power of this intersubjective experience in his formulation of an aesthetic of existence, which focuses so strongly on the self's relation to itself as part of the practice of self-transformation. Self, self, self. Would we like to use the word self a little bit more, please? This focus not only ignores the role of the other in the constitution of the self, but at the same time prioritizes the self over the other, and a form of individualism over a theory of intersubjective becoming. Foucault never really explains his understanding of aesthetics and the ramifications it has for the subject who cannot help but be constituted by the power relations operating in his or her cultural context. I would argue that intersubjectivity produces an aesthetic through the ways we talk to each other, what we desire, what is okay to desire, and what is kinky or strange. It is produced in the ways we interact with each other sexually and intellectually, and the emotional responses we have to certain people or objects on an aesthetic level come to us through learned ways of seeing and interpretative attractiveness. You are wrong. You are just wrong. On every level through this, as chat correctly calls it, postmodern writing babble, you're wrong. Like, this attraction dynamic is not something that is culturally produced and can be unlearned. It is not that men make women fat so that men can feel good about themselves for not being fat and that the women are being tricked and lied to and blah blah blah. You are wrong on so very many levels. Despite Foucault's claim that it is not valid to transplant in any complete manner the aesthetics of an ancient civilization into contemporary society, the adoption of the notion of an aesthetic existence in the present day and in relation to the fat woman illustrates the impossibility of overcoming the dangers that I would argue are inherent in Greco-Roman society. Here we go, Greco-Roman society is dangerous because it encourages you to not be a fat fuck. That is, in cultivating oneself in relation to an aesthetic ideal, one is already reproducing the dominant ways of knowing and of bodily being that construct subjectivity at the expense of others, insofar as an aesthetics of existence appears to be normalizing its effects are most dangerous for those situated as other, and this paper is illustrative of one particular example of this, in which you were wrong, because dominant men with a submissive female for the feeder dynamic is not always the case. In fact, I would argue that it is more often than not the opposite. In the middle of a Western society currently preoccupied with cultivating an aesthetic body representation of a cultivated self, considering fatness and sexuality together foreground the potential of the fat body and fat bodily being in the world. That is, as I have shown, in the very impossibility of the fat female body conforming to the dominant aesthetic ideal, this body could be said to disrupt not only the aesthetic but also the problematic assumptions on which it is founded. Kill me now. Jesus Christ. Chat, we did it. We made it to the end. Can somebody translate this from retard to English? I think we already have. Fat people... Well, we know from the first half hour, first 40 minutes, that fat people are objectively not aesthetic for a good reason of evolutionary biology. This person bitches and moans that attraction is a social construct, and so, you know, men need to learn to find fat women attractive, and then she says that some fat women, when it comes to feederism, or that feederism is strictly men dominating women so that men can feel better about themselves and that women can never live up to their aesthetics. because of patriarchy, basically. So she's literally wrong on every single count. Like, throughout this entire paper, she's just wrong. And the thing is, we've used actual evidence to show why she's wrong, but, yeah, that doesn't actually matter, because as we all know, feminists, they don't like actual evidence or anything like that. It's just, whatever shit they can come up with, that makes them correct because reasons. But we did it, chat, and it only took us, what, a couple of hours? I like how on the YouTube streaming thing it says I've been going for an hour 45 minutes, but the actual live stream is like 2.5 hours. Yeah, it's just, it's crazy. Someone in chat's got it right. Find me attractive or you're a bigot. Yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, let's be honest, that's exactly what we expected. Anyway, chat, I need to go and eat some lunch, because, well, of course I do. It's been, like, what, 6 hours since I last ate something. I need to go have some food. Gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna go lift! It's fucking pull day, which means deadlifts. Shit tons of deadlifts. And all the sorts of exercises related to deadlifting and deadlifting accessories. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna go get strong, chat. Get strong. It's important. You should all do it. So, chat, started streaming 3 hours ago. Did I start streaming 3 hours ago? Well, according to the actual YouTube live stream counter thing, it says 2 hours 40. I don't know whether that's actually... Let's just be honest, YouTube's sense of time is all completely fucked. So, yeah, let's just ignore that. Let's just ignore whatever YouTube says, because YouTube is wrong! YouTube is wrong! So I'm going to go have fun, I'm going to go make some mad gains, and chat, you should do the same thing. Go have some of that quick release energy, get yourself ready, and go lift some heavy shit. It's great. I will see you at some point in the not too distant future, chat. Fare thee well.